But when you study leadership, I want you to ask yourself a question. The people that you're associated with, the leaders that you're associated with, do they have the guts to do what's right, whether or not you like it or not, whether or not it's popular or not? Do you realize that every single breakthrough in business, industry, science, and the arts, and government came right after somebody made a decision that was right, and it didn't appear popular. And then they made it work. They made it right. Do you realize that the greatest obstacle to change is the resistance to change itself? The Nobel Prize laureate for England said these words about Winston Churchill. In darkness he saw. In doubting he led. In darkness he saw. In doubting he led. Can you imagine being prime minister and day after day after day the Germans are bombing London? And then getting up the next day and getting in his car, driving down to where London was bombed the worst, with his cigar in one hand and his V sign in the other. But I got this little baby in my arms. And for 9 months, just like you and I, we were cradled in nature's own waterbed. Everything was perfect. You know, no rent, no house payments, heat, lights, everything perfectly controlled. And then someone jerks you out of your mother's uterus, holds you upside down, slaps you on the bottom, and cuts the umbilical cord, and most of us walk around the rest of our lives looking for some place to plug it in.
People significantly overestimate what's possible in 30 days, but those same people significantly underestimate what's possible in just 1 year. People say, well, I'm going to lose 50 pounds in a month. I mean, you couldn't survive it. You couldn't survive 50 pounds in a month. You didn't put 50 pounds on in a month, and you're not going to take it off in a month. Most people make New Year's resolutions, and they are pages and pages and pages. Why? Because they don't revisit that success human engineering process except once a year. What if they revisited it every single day? I mean, how often do people review those New Year's resolutions? Once a year.
Right.
And they look at that list and they say, well, I got 2 out of 50. That isn't bad. Well, yeah, it is bad because you set 50 of them and they were important to you. So the first step of effortless motivation is to decide, really decide what it is you want. Decide comes from the Greek word kaidir, which means to cut off from all other possibilities. It's one of the reasons that the Vikings were the most ferocious warriors on the planet. When they landed to do battle, the commanders burned the boats.
There was a young attorney that was duck hunting down in South Carolina, and a farmer was out plowing his fields, and this attorney wounded this duck. The duck fell in the farmer's field. Well, he just figured he'd go over across that fence and pick up that duck. Well, the farmer saw this. He pulls his tractor over, and he walks over to the young attorney. He said, son, what do you think you're doing? He said, well, I wounded that duck, and I'm going to go over there and get that duck. He said, son, let me explain something to you. This is South Carolina. He said, we respect each other's boundaries down here. And the young attorney said, look, he said, I'm an attorney, and if you don't let me go get that duck, I'm going to sue you and take everything that you've got. Didn't even seem to shake the old farmer. The old farmer said, son, let me explain to you how we solve problems here in South Carolina. He said, we use the 3-kick rule. He said, what's the 3-kick rule? He said, well, I kick you 3 times, and you kick me 3 times, and we keep doing that till one of us gives. Well, the young attorney didn't want to go against local tradition, and he figured, you know, this old farmer was kind of frail. He couldn't hurt him too bad, so he said, go ahead. Well, the old boy dug his left foot deep down in that dirt, and he just kicked that young man right in the groin and doubled him over. Kicked him again in the backside, knocked him down. As he's getting up, he kicks him in the head. The young attorney could barely get to his feet. He's staggering to his feet. He looks at the old farmer, and he said, okay, you old codger, now it's my turn. And the old farmer said, that's okay, I give. You can have the duck. Bubba Smith calls the sheriff's department, and he says, you know Billy Bob Smith? He said, well, yeah, everybody knows Billy Bob. He said, let me tell you something. That son of a gun has got that devil weed marijuana stored in his wood, big pile of it beside his shed. The sheriff said, no kidding, that's a bad thing. He said, you need to go do something about that, Sheriff, if you want to get reelected. He said, I will. Takes his officers, his deputy sheriffs over there with axes and wedges, and man, they just go through that wood pile, split it all up, couldn't find a thing, and they leave there even cussing at the guy. So Bubba calls Billy Bob. He said, Billy Bob, he said, did the sheriff come out and see you today? He said, yeah. He said, he split up all your wood? He said, yeah. He said, happy birthday, buddy. If you don't wake up every day saying, good morning, God, instead of good God, it's morning, you're missing the boat. So what I want you to notice is, I want you to stand as if you had just won the lottery. How would you be standing? Where would your shoulders be? Where would your head be? Yes! Now I want you to stand like you just got the worst news of your life. The best friend, your most important person in your life just died. How would you be standing? Where would your head be? Where would your shoulders be? Now how do you look when you call somebody about wanting to share this opportunity with them? Hi there, do you want to come to a meeting? Oh, you don't? Oh, okay. Bye now. I call this the positronic position. Stand like you could walk through walls. Stand like you just won the lottery. Notice how you feel. Now, depressed. Now, positronic. Now, depressed. Now, positronic. Now, you know what you just learned? You don't ever have to be depressed again. You can go to positronic anytime you want. What is the three-letter word we all want our prospects, both in customers and in recruits, to say to us? What's the three-letter word? Yes! In closing, I would like to leave you with this final thought. This is a leadership from the heart thought, and that is this. If you will treat each and every person in your life with the same kind of love and care and respect that you've paid me here today, by really listening to what they have to say, husbands, your wives, ladies, your gentlemen, parents, your kids, if you will do that, then I have a 24-karat gold leadership from the heart guarantee for you. You will never be bored, you won't bore others, and you'll never hear a bad speech. Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen. I'm finished.